And I so wanted to complete that mountain. I so wanted to make it to the top. And he said, just go, David. I'll just wait here. You come back. And boy, a voice, just comes up and says, David, you need to carry his pack. You need to ask him to carry his pack. He's like, oh, man, but no. Because he's still not going to make it, and it's going to slow me down. And I tried to turn away from it, and God spoke again and said, David, you need to carry his pack. And I went over,
wash his feet.
And
that same attitude, yeah.
And the coolest thing, really, it wasn't really more of what I did, it was what he did, because he gave me the honor.
Wow.
And that's a hard thing for most men to do, to give you the honor of helping them.
Yep.
And he gave me the honor of letting me carry the pack, and we've become the best of friends since then. We had just met not too long before that trip, and I just trust him like a brother, because we've learned the fact that we can fight together. We can stand side by side. Jesus.
So you need each other.
Absolutely. Scripture says that we need a group of people around us. Even Jesus himself, right? He says what? He's got the 3 disciples, and he's got the 12 disciples, and he's got the 500. He surrounds himself with people that can walk this life out with him. And we're called to do the exact same thing.
Did you make it over the mountain?
We made it to the top.
Did you
made
make
it
it
back?
to the top?
Not over it.
Well, up to it.
Got to the top, came back down. 12 hours later, we made it back to our car. Totally spent, totally exhausted.
But feeling accomplished?
We felt like we had done something.
Wow. That's got to be a high.
So much fun.
great.
It was a lot of fun.
That's what you call an adrenaline rush.
Yeah, that and the show.
This show? Are you kidding? You also talk about, and to bring us back to reality, because you take a look at David. David, take a look at him. He looks like he's never had a problem in his life, nor has he ever even come close to creating problems. But you're pretty honest in this book.
Yeah.
Because you talk about moral failure as a way of reminding us how real the battle is and how real the casualties can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, quite honestly, I think we have to understand 2 things about failure. Number one, we have to understand we're in a battle. And so we have an enemy who's trying to destroy us. I hate the fact that as Christians, we tend to shoot our wounded.
Yeah.
We see them fail, and we don't, and we're just so mad. We would never, we made that mistake in Vietnam. When men came back from Vietnam, we told them they shouldn't have gone.
Yeah. And spit at them.
And we understand what a terrible thing that was. And we don't do that as a country any longer. But we still do it as Christians. And so we need to recognize we are in a battle, and there is stuff happening. And secondly, we need to recognize that we haven't arrived yet. I'm still in this process of learning. I'm still learning how to walk up a mountain with a buddy.
Yeah.
And so we have wounds that happen, and I share a number of them, and I share the loss of my son. I share a relationship I had that was inappropriate. And they're overwhelming.
You say, you're very honest in the book, how my wife found the strength to stay with me, I will never know. I still see the pain on her face.
Every single day. Every single day. I betrayed her. I betrayed our marriage. I betrayed my children.
Now, it's interesting because you point out in the book that it all happened when somebody was brought into your home.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we look at helping somebody. That's what God would want.
Yeah.
But then, almost like a poisonous snake that we make a pet, it turns on us.
Yeah, that actually, and the name of the chapter is called Retreat, because of that issue. I understood, because I had kind of come to a point in my life where I had stepped away from a real close relationship with God, and so I wasn't really communicating. And it's
now,
insane.
let me go back to that, okay? Because I just sense that we all need this help.
Mm-hmm.
You had a close relationship with the Lord.
Yeah.
Sometimes we think that when we're in that camp of that relationship, that we are safe.
Yeah.
We're not.
Well, we're not. No, in fact, I think the more we are called to, the more the enemy just kind of cranks up the battle. And so he had. And the battle had been hard, and it had beat me up. And I remember we finally moved into this huge mega church in Wichita, sat in the back row of that church, and I remember specifically thinking, Satan, I'll back off if you back off. Okay, just
Wow.
I'm laying down my armor. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm tired of all the battles.
Wow.
And things went pretty well. I mean, actually, my business did well. I started having some fun. Life became relaxing, and then I met this young woman, and
You brought her into your environment because her husband had cheated on her and left her
She had broken up a relationship. Her and my wife became friends, but I didn't communicate any longer. I wasn't communicating with headquarters. With the king.
That's right.
And so it seemed to me like that was wisdom. It seemed like this was a good battle to step into.
Sure.
And as I started noticing emotions changing and feelings changing in me, I reasoned that, well, obviously God wouldn't tempt me beyond what I was able, and so I should be safe in this place. A terrible place to assume to be. I didn't check in with headquarters and found, no, this was not a battle I need to fight. This was a battle for somebody else. And I remember after everything happened, I was talking on the phone to a friend, and just a wise brother, a man who had mentored me for years and years, and was just breaking, my heart was broken. My wife and I were separated. And I said, I don't understand how this happened, Cal. I don't get it. I tried so hard to do the right thing, and I just blew up. And he said, David, I love his honesty. He said, David, you should have never been there in the first place. He said, Scripture says, flee from sexual temptation. Flee from it, run away. He goes, you should have turned around and ran a long time ago. And I just missed that. Somehow I just assumed that because I was trying to do something for God, whatever it was, that somehow I was going to be safe. Yeah. And I forgot about the fact that I've got an enemy who was just sitting there and setting me up, and I never had the wisdom to turn around and run and to leave. And so there aren't all battles. There are some battles that we need to stay away from. There are places that, I don't think an alcoholic should go minister in a bar. Probably not a good place for him to go.
Yeah.
I do think some people ought to go minister in a bar, for goodness sakes. I think Jesus hung out in a lot of bars and interacted with people, but I think there's certain people who shouldn't be there. Okay,
it's true.
A person who's addicted to pornography probably shouldn't go hang out in a pornography store.
Try to lead the guy to the Lord that's selling the pornography.
Absolutely.
Yes.
You just have to have some wisdom.
Thing.
Yeah.
Tell me about Joshua.
It's in Joshua. What a gift he was. He was amazing. Joshua, my second child, is born 1991, and about at a year and a half of age, we started noticing his abdomen was getting large and was getting tender, and we took him to the doctor, and long and short, we found he had a cancer called a neuroblastoma. And went through a year of chemotherapy with Joshua, and he was such a trooper. He did so well, and it was just always a joy. But a year into treatment, we actually felt he was healed. We had we were in a church that just loved the Lord. They were praying for him every week. Someone came up actually and told us, said, I really feel God said he's done with this thing. It's healed. Went to his cancer doctor. His cancer doctor said, I think it may be in remission as well. His surgeon looked at the CAT scan and said, it looks like maybe it's all scar tissue. So we had one last chemotherapy dose left. We decided to do that last chemotherapy dose. And
so he was 15 months?
He was no, at this time he was 2.5 years old now.
2.5,
so he started this out 15 months, about a year afterwards. And his last chemotherapy dose, he started throwing up a little bit. I didn't think much about it because he threw up all the time. He started getting pretty fussy that evening, and I didn't think too much about that. I called up his doctor, and we talked a little bit, and chose not to do anything, just kind of keep an eye on him. Well, long and short of it, he had a brain hemorrhage from the platelets being dropped from the chemotherapy. Woke up next morning, he was barely breathing, and died that afternoon in our arms. And the reality of the thing really just came on so many different fronts for me. It challenged my skill as a physician. Should I have picked up on his signs, on what was going on? It certainly challenged my faith. Where was God at with this? I thought we said he was healed. Okay, and now something else kills him outside of the cancer. Cancer didn't even kill him. It was really a treatment that ended up killing him.
So it was the chemo treatment that killed him?
It was the effect that had on his platelets, yes, that ended up causing that problem. And so it left me in this position of just really asking God, so what's with this? What can I really trust you for, God? If I can't trust you for my child, who we've been praying for, who we've believed for, what can I trust you for? And I would say, in retrospect, it was the most significant thing that happened to my wife and I and to our faith.